Hey Moonlovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones, and I have just been spritzing a little bit of aura spray here just to clear the energy around me, and this is my Calling in the Muse aura spray. It's not a creation of my own. My lovely friend Ruth gave this to me at Poetry Circle. I go to a Poetry Soul Circle once a month, and I have just been recently, the call to be more creative always comes up with the emotions. So anyhow, as promised, I'm back again for another episode this week. So we're having more episodes than normal. And this episode is called Venus Dances into Leo. So Venus actually danced into Leo on August the 25th. And it is actually Monday the 1st of September today. But she is going to be in the sign of Leo, I think, until the 19th of September. Yeah, so we have got another 18 lovely days of Venus in Leo. So why is this worth talking about? Well, if you have been listening, you will know that we have got the upcoming eclipse on the 7th. So that's this week. It's Monday the 1st today. So September the 7th, we have a total lunar eclipse in Pisces. And I am going to record another episode for you all about that. But I thought, with all the Saturn retrograding back into Pisces and the Uranus in Gemini, disruptive energies, everything that's been going on recently, I thought I'd focus on something that means something to me, because Venus is in Leo in my own personal birth chart. So I really understand this transit, and I look forward to this transit as Venus dances across my Venus in the sign of Leo. So some things that I have just made note of here to give you a sense of the energy of Venus in Leo. Even just saying it sounds kind of a little dramatic, doesn't it? And I thought I would put on my sort of disco dancing love t-shirt today. I've got my crown on for that Leo energy, and I need to love myself more, an emphasis on self-love and worthiness. Your time to shine your brightest light. She is a ray of shine, lighting up the world. These are all things that to me really sing out the energy of Venus in Leo. So a Venus in Leo woman simply will not be satisfied with an ordinary life. And for any of you who have been getting to know me via this podcast, or who already know me in person, then you will know that it's absolutely true that I've never been satisfied with an ordinary life, whatever an ordinary life is. But yes, I have a fire that burns bright in me, and I like to live life on the edge. And if you listen to my last episode where I gave you a little bit of my drama recently, how I felt quite broken down, and as we know, when we get broken down into little bits, it's time to have a rebirth, transform, and grow ourselves back into something better. And that is something I have done time and time and again in my life. And when things get stagnant, I get low. I get depressed because I feel as though I'm having an ordinary life. I'm not living life on the edge. Things have become mundane and they need a real boost, and I need some change. So Venus in Leo, what does she like to do? She's always in search of joy. So when I am in my highest expression, I am known as a bit of a Pollyanna. I'm always looking for something to be glad about, no matter how bad it is. So as bad as it's been recently, I am glad that I am getting this shove, this force, this push into the next part of my story. I love to entertain. I love to tell a story. Now, I'm not an entertainer in the way that I get people round and I cook for them. That's just not me. But I love to have an audience and share stories and share my wisdom, because Venus is in Leo in my 9th house. So that's the 9th house of higher learning and wisdom. It is associated with astrology, you know, with that university of life way of looking at things. So Leo is warm-hearted, ruled by the sun, wanting to be in the spotlight and adored, you know, grabbing attention. It's creative, always searching for ways to express myself, bringing her unique gift into the world. Now, this can too, depending on other aspects and things in the chart and things in life, it can also translate into a feeling of insecurity. And if I'm feeling insecure, my need to seek validation and attention and recognition, it grows. That need becomes more. And because there's kind of a little fear simmering somewhere inside me, particularly with my moon in Virgo, that I'm just not good enough. Well, we all know I'm going to be the first to tell anybody else that you're good enough. So I'm looking at myself on the screen here and I'm going to tell you that you are good enough. So, you know, I grew up on stage, and no matter how I want this stage of my life to be, you know, it's no good for me to be sitting in the audience. I need to be on stage. It's that kind of energy. So, you know, Venus in Leo is kind of, I know that I'm guilty of this. I'm permanently stuck in the romance of the honeymoon period, you know, totally stuck on the romantic stage of a relationship. And when that kind of wanes, I just want it back. I want all that passion back. So that can lead to very intense, passionate, dramatic scenes in my relationship. You know, that almost breaking up and then getting back together again is something that that can be a little too much. You know, I can go towards that too much because of that need for connection again. Venus is about connection. Venus is about how we value ourselves. It's our values in general. It's our wealth, our financial wealth. It is about beautiful things. As you all know, I love my adornments. You know, I've always got lots of bracelets and earrings and crystal crowns, and I love the dress up box. So let's kind of think of that as the energy. But, you know, in its lowest expression, this energy can have a heightened, you know, particularly when Venus is in Leo, that need for affection and love grows stronger. My dad was a Leo, and he was very generous, warm and open-hearted, very loving and giving. And that is what I'm always seeking when I'm feeling low and insecure. I'm needing that dad, Leo, generous, loving, giving energy. And then I tend to seek it where maybe it's not going to come from. And then that knocks me down. So I'll give you just a general... so where has this all come from? In Roman mythology, Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, sex, fertility, prosperity. It's victory as well. That's the other word that I was looking for, victory. So Venus is in the sign associated with Apollo. So Leo is associated with Apollo. And Apollo is the revered Olympian god associated with the sun, with light, with music, poetry, healing, actually with archery as well, and prophecy. So in its lowest expression, it can actually be connected to Narcissus, he who loved himself too much. So there can be too big of an ego, somebody who becomes self-obsessed, and that need for adoration can override everything. So excesses of these combined energies of Venus and Leo, that Apollo energy, that kind of almost Narcissus stuff, a kind of things like beauty, money, entertaining, creativity, love, romance, passion, and obsession, wanting to be admired. Now, that chance of obsession is higher right now because at the beginning of the week, and it's widening now, it's not so exact, but we had an exact opposition between Venus and Pluto. So we've got Venus in Leo and we've got Pluto in Aquarius. And Pluto can bring that intense, obsessive feeling. So if you are feeling low and insecure, that obsession to do with, where is the love? Where is the romance? Why isn't it there? Please love me. That kind of thing can come up. And I was out having lunch with a friend of mine, a male friend, and he said to me, you really need to get this relationship stuff sorted out because it's stopping you from being able to focus on anything else. And that was at the beginning of the Venus in Leo stage where we had that opposition to Pluto. So I was literally like being a manifestation of that. So we could use this energy to rev up our self-worth, to remind ourselves to love ourselves, to unapologetically take up space. How badly do we want to be seen? Well, clearly I want to be seen because I'm not recording this podcast without the camera on. I've got the camera on, I've got the ring light on, I've got my adornments on. In Leo, Venus reminds us of the value of our essence. Leo is ruled by the sun, which represents our identity, our core identity, our sense of self, our personality, our vital life force, our ego, if you like. And it represents our conscious self, how we project our energy into the world. And in the past couple of weeks, before Venus entered Leo, when it was in Cancer, I was just wanting to be with my mum. My light was dimmed, but now I can feel it expanding again. And that isn't just happening by itself. That is a conscious effort to remember the essence of who I am. And this Venus of Leo energy, this person who loves to be on stage and talk about astrology, is in there, and she needs to come out, otherwise I'm not being my full expression of myself. And I was just on the phone earlier talking about a workshop, an astrology workshop I'm doing at an equinox retreat over in Sawbridgeworth on the equinox weekend. So if you are local in Essex and Hertfordshire or London, it's not that far away, check out the Wild Retreat in Sawbridgeworth, check out their equinox retreat. I will put the link on here for tickets for that. And there's so much stuff going on, I haven't got time to talk all about it here. But just getting back to, you know, that sun energy of Leo, it reveals your authentic talent, you know, that inner thing that drives you forwards, your creative potential, the fundamental you, yeah. But Venus in Leo, it emphasizes the importance also not of just being seen and being on stage, but actually feeling as though you are seen and that you are celebrated. This gives us an opportunity to reflect on that, yeah. So for me, I'm reflecting on that, you know, within my relationship, but also my relationship with myself. You know, Venus is about our desires, you know, what fulfills us, what feels good to us. I have been on my yoga mat every single day. In fact, you know, timely today, I joined in with one which was Strala Yoga, and very unusually, Tara, my teacher, she did a yoga session for anger, you know, to get any of that pent up anger and passion out of, you know, being stuck in our joints, making us ache. You know, this really is a period of time to celebrate ourselves. It's also, Venus is where, as an astrologer, we're going to look in your chart to see who you're attracted to and who you attract, how you express love. Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Libra. So she's the planet that's associated with the relationships we form with others, yeah. So what else can I tell you? I just look at my notes here. So I took a little note from my own birth chart here, because, you know, this is just on my software here. This is how it described that Venus in Leo in the 9th house. There is a deep longing to be recognised, not just for what you give, but for who you are. This placement teaches that love is not a transaction, but a celebration. The challenge is ego and taking things personally, but the gift is authenticity, the courage to love fully and out loud. Let this be a season of generous hearts. Say it, show it, paint it in gold. Venus in Leo reminds you love is art, and you are both the canvas and the flame. So we did have a little air trine. We had an air trine going on around this, which would, with all that air going on, it would be giving us an opportunity to think things through. I've actually got, in my chart, I've actually got Mercury currently above my Venus. So if you think that my Venus is in Leo, and then Venus, it's actual in real time, so that's in my chart, and then Venus in real time is coming is coming into the beginning of Leo. My Venus is more towards the end of Leo. So this is just going to get stronger, this need to be on stage. But Mercury is above my Venus right now, as Mercury is still travelling through the end of the sign of Leo in real time. And Mercury is to do with communication. So this sudden need to do more than one episode of my podcast this week, instead of just doing one and being a little inconsistent, how about I do 2 or 3 and cut them into maybe slightly shorter. I can never make it shorter, but anyway, I always try. So as I said, we had a Pluto which is retrograde at the moment, which makes it a little stronger, closer to the Earth, opposing Venus, and that would bring our attention to power dynamics in the relationship. It can emphasize manipulation tendencies, fuel a craving for intensity, and strengthen our desire to feel in control. So, I mean, yesterday I just laid down on my yoga mat, stared at the ceiling and said, do you know what? I surrender. I don't want to be. I relinquish control. I cannot control this. Just let me ride this big Pisces watery wave that's coming up with this eclipse on the 7th, which I am going to go off and record that very shortly for you. So yeah, I think that gives you a general overview of this energy, and I like to share with you, you know, how it is for me, so that if you're interested to know where your Venus is in your chart and where Leo is in your chart and what area of life that is showing, all of this is showing up for you, then I'm doing a special offer on doing a little Venus in Leo reading for you at the moment. So that is literally just 22.22. That's pounds, that's British pounds. So if you send me a little message or go to my website, and I can send you the link to that. Just pop a little message on here, or just go to my website and look for the Venus in Leo special offer reading, and we can look and see where that is for you. Okay, so I think that's it. If you're local to here in Chelmsford, just to let you know that I have a brand new yoga and Pilates classes starting tomorrow, 2nd of September, at a co-working space called Patch, which is just about 4 or 5 minute walk from my house here. So I'm excited for that. We've got some people booked in, new beginnings, getting back on my teaching stage. So anyway, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you on the next one, all about the upcoming eclipse in Pisces.